So welcome back to the garage here at Basin Motorsports. Time to give you an update on kind of what I'm working on. All right, so now that you guys have seen the tire letters from Custom Tire Letters put on the Wide Fox, you know that it's in pretty good condition for the rest of the year. Wrap's going to stay the same. I'll change the hood. And I tell you what, I put the tire letters on and I knew those are going to be kind of the next long-term thing. And I really just think, man, those really kind of clash with the hood now. So the hood's going to go, probably going to be this winter. I will change it over to the Satin Urban Jungle to match. And I'm still trying to decide if I want to add some other graphics to that. But the hood will go, and then I'm going to change out this windshield. So you've probably never seen, or maybe you have, there is a monstrous crack that has always been there since I bought it 3 years ago. So I'm going to go ahead and change this windshield out finally. If I can get over here, you can kind of see it a little bit better. But you can just see how it goes all the way up and around, all the way up through there. So it's been chipped and cracked all the way from 3 years ago when I bought it. So I'll just go ahead and put a new windshield in. I'll take it down to the same place that the gray lady got its windshield. So that'll be about another couple weeks before I get that done. And then I'll put on a new windshield banner. So I've got something in the works already. I've decided on what it's going to be. It's being created now. And I'm going to add a black strip down to the ASI down here. So it'll be a black strip down. I think it's 4.5 inches last I measured. And then the windshield banner is going to go to a green to complement the tires itself. So on the gray lady, now that the wide body is done for a little bit pretty much, the gray lady, I've decided to change directions on it a little bit and kind of take a little bit of a detour. So I've already started sanding, and this is just kind of working on the wrap piece, kind of understanding how much sanding I'm going to have to do. So I broke out my DA sander last night, the old Wonder Wheel from Black & Decker that I used on the wide body, and I started sanding down all of this rust. So the goal here is to get all of the rust taken out and get it down to bare metal to where I can etch prime it and then do some fill prime, some body filler in that, get these dents out. And really the goal with the 86 is to make it look factory. I want people to walk by it and think it's a factory paint job, that everything else is good. So you can kind of look here at the roof. You can see I've already started sanding there. So that was all rusty before. And now I'm just kind of cleaning that off down to bare metal before I etch it. Just kind of experimenting really to kind of see what it's going to take. I'll take the sail panels out, and then the door frames themselves will be hand sanded once I get all the trim and everything out of the way. Those will be hand sanded, and I'm going to do the sail panels, the area there at the beam here. So you've got all this that will be done. So essentially everything around this is going to be body molding color. It's going to be kind of that darkish gray to match the body molding, the handles, etc. So those will all be done in the same color. I started working on the hatch and the sail piece here. Still got to work on that, and that glass just needs to be cleaned and then covered. Took off the spoiler, so that came off pretty easy. I had one stud that stripped out that somebody, I think probably from the factory, stripped the nut on it, so I had to cut it out, and I'll get that replaced. But at least the gray lady's headed in the right direction. So here's the detour I mentioned. Rather than jumping right into the wrap, what I'm going to do from this point on is I'm going to disassemble the complete front end of the car. So the fascia is going to come off, fender liners, fenders, and the hood. I'm going to take all that off, and I'm going to take this engine out. So this is the original V6. It still runs strong, doesn't smoke. The transmission seems to shift okay. But what I really want to do is I want to get rid of all the leaks off this thing. And I've really been thinking of the last month or so that I want to sell it knowing that it leaked oil, it leaked coolant and all that stuff, where it looked good but didn't run that great. And I really just can't do that. I don't want to do that. I want to save this car. And when I want to turn the keys over to a new owner, I want them to be confident in just getting in, turning the key, and enjoying the heck out of this car. So they may not want the V6 and the automatic long term, but that's okay. I'd rather them to be able to show up, really just go drive the car, have to have it, and take it home and enjoy the heck out of it. It's going to look good with the wrap. I want it to drive very well. They may change on the wheels and tires if I haven't done that already, but I want somebody to feel very good with this car once they purchase it. So I'm going to strip everything off, which had to be done anyway because of the wrap, so I can kind of do body work and all that. But I'm going to take this engine out and clean the bay up completely. So what you'll see is a little bit of delay in the wrap, but it means that the V6 is going to come out, and really I'm just going to disconnect everything. I don't plan on stripping off all the accessories or anything else. I'll take off as much as I need to in order to change the timing cover gasket, the oil pan gasket, and basically anything else I find. I'll take off as much as I need to for that. Otherwise, it's just going to stay in there. So a little bit of change, but I feel much better about it to be able to sell it to somebody like that. So now the point is, we got to get this thing all stripped all apart. So here's starting the disassembly of the complete front end and get this thing on the right track. So one question I've kind of been toying with is swapping out some of the suspension. So, you know, when I took the Wide Fox apart, it was all V8. So it was 87, 93 V8 stuff. So it had a little bit bigger brakes, bigger brake rotors, I think. Just better stuff. And so when I swapped that over to the Wide Fox, or I took it off the Wide Fox and put on all the SN95 stuff, all that stuff is sitting in a box. I've got all those original pieces, so maybe I need to do some research, but I may swap a lot of this original stuff from the 86, swap it over to 87, 93 pieces with some new bushings, and that I can just rebuild the lower control arms, put some new ball joints in it, and I may do that. Swap over to some bigger brakes maybe for the 87, 93. I need to do some research on that to see if it makes sense. I'd hate for some to do all the work, sell it, and then somebody goes right in, you know, months after they get it and 5-lug swap it when I could have done that all up ahead. So I'm gonna do some research. I've got the parts here, so it's not like it's a big thing to go out and find. I've got literally everything here. I still even have the master cylinder that was in good shape from the 90, I guess it's 80, 92, whatever you call it. The original stuff that matches it. I've got it all, so I could swap it over to this, because I think the 7.5 axle will take all the same fluid and everything else. So I think I can just swap to bigger brakes on this, make it a little bit more capable than what it was for the V6. There again, I'll do some research, figure it out. I may do that before I put the car back on the road, is just swap it all over to bigger stuff if it makes sense. Alright, so just like that, the hood is off. Now I always find if you put the prop rod up and put a thick blanket underneath the edges of the back of the hood, once you take out the 2 bolts that hold the hood on, you can set the hood on to this blanket. So this is double layered over of just kind of a moving blanket. But it does great. You just kind of set the edges down one at a time and then take the hood prop out, lay the hood down, and then just pick it up and set it right over there. So there's your original 86 hood off the Gray Lady. Now it's just a matter of, from here, I will probably take out the tire liners, get those out of the way, then take the front end off, then the front fenders, and then we can really get to going on this engine pull, reseal, and then I've got a bunch of other stuff to do. But we're going to make progress on this quick and easy. Alright, so we're going to jump ahead a little bit. So it's been a couple days that I've been able to work on this in the afternoons, but I haven't really filmed anything. So you can see the hood is off. Fascia, fenders, fender liners are all off there. And really, thankfully, other than it just being really kind of oily and dirty, there is no rust, no anything else. So I've got the oil drained out of the engine, so it'll stop leaking, hopefully, a little bit. Got the coolant drained out, at least the radiator piece. I know that once I tilt this thing forward, it's going to kind of pour it out of the engine. So I'm going to try and mitigate that as best I can. Now, one thing I did find is that you can see there's an R-clip on the bottom of this hood hinge pin for the door. Now, this pin itself, when I did it a while ago, actually was up and out. And I thought, oh, the R-clip fell out. And what I come to find out is that neither of these had the R-clips. You can kind of see the shiny bit right there. And so what I ended up having to doing is take off these hinges, and these hinges were actually too wide, and this pin itself didn't expose the hole for the R-clip to go in. So I took the hinge off one by one. So I took the top off and set it on the ground and kind of pounded these more narrow for the main hinge. That way the pin would sit down in there, and then I could get the R-clip in. Put it back on. Then what came down here, took this off, took these 3 bolts out, took the bushing out, or the hinge pin out, pounded this together a little bit more, put it back in, put the pin in, slid it over, and moved that around. So now the door itself lines up pretty well with the body. No real issues here. Opened, closes easy. The one thing I'm not sure if I'm going to change is this body line here. This is a little bit tighter on this side than the driver's side, but it's still within specification of what Ford would have released. It's a matter of now, if I want to change this, I need to slide this door forward, and in order to do that, I will have to oblong the holes here. So I'll take these out. I'll take this hinge off, kind of oblong this hole so that the hinge itself and the door can slide forward in reference to these bolts. Otherwise, I'll probably leave it. It closes well. It sits well. I'll probably leave it alone for now until I get the car back together and decide if I've really got to change that or not, because it's going to affect how the fender sits to the car, to the fascia. It's all related. If you've seen that video on how to align everything, it's all related. So now it's a matter of taking the engine out. If I show you down in there, you can kind of see it's really just dirty on the top side. Once I get everything out, I think just some good degreaser, scrub with probably a pad, and that this thing will clean up very, very well. It's going to look great when it's done. I'm pretty excited to get cranking on this thing finally. And I'll do the same one here. Degreaser, scrub it out, kind of get all that dirt out and everything else. And then the brakes. I'm still deciding how much to do. From what I've seen, everybody says is to swap the spindles, everything else. I just don't know if I need to do lower control arms yet or not. So that's going to take us through the end of what I can work on this week with the Gray Lady. I'm going to do a little bit of cleanup, get my tools together so I can put them in the wide body so I can drive it Saturday. So today's Wednesday. Saturday, I'll take this up. So I'm going to check the air pressures in it. I'll check the fluids Friday. And one thing I checked yesterday was the timing on it, because I'm still having that stumbling issue where it would get warm, you drive it, you go to pass, it would get to about 3,000, somewhere around like 2,000, 2,500, it would kind of like stumble itself till about 3,500. And once you get to that point, it would kind of pick up. So I realized yesterday I made a mistake. Check the timing on the car, which I showed you another video there. I'll throw up a link of that, of how to check timing on these Mustangs. One thing I realized is that my timing was too retarded, I guess you would say. It was too much before where it should have been. So it normally should be around 10 to 14-ish is probably where it should be before top dead center of when the spark plug fires. And mine was actually not even close to that. So it would run fine, but as soon as it got warmed up, the computer would really start to pull timing out or make it even more before top dead center. It would fall on its face, and I think that was what was causing the issue and all kinds of stuff. So I'll validate that Saturday when I drive it, but if I fixed it the way it should be, this thing should have all the power in the world to do passing in that now. So we'll keep my fingers crossed. I'll drive it Saturday and know for sure, but everything here in the garage looks fantastic. So if you guys have any questions on anything I'm going to do with the 86, again, it's going to be a resto, really. I won't call it a resto mod because I don't plan to really change much other than swapping in new parts for old that are kind of worn out, like seals and everything else. So maybe you call it a resto mod if you want to, because it's going to be vinyl wrapped and repainted and all that stuff. But I don't plan to take it crazy with it. I plan to just make it a nice driver for somebody in the future. Wide body's in good shape. I'll drive it Saturday. I'll film that, so you guys will see that trip. And I probably won't show you much driving because it's really just highway driving, just up there, 70 miles an hour, 65 speed limit. So it should just be cruising. Tried to fix the radio. That's not going to work out for this weekend, so no big deal. 2 hours of just listening to the Mustang cruise will be pretty awesome anyway. So if you're in the area of Sun River, Bend, anything up in Central Oregon, come out and check it out. I'd love to talk to you. It should be a smaller show. It should be a music festival. And I think there's only, I don't know. I know they said between vendors and cars, there are 62, I think, that are going to be there. So I'll have, I don't know, 1 of 40 cars maybe. So come check it out. Enjoy some music. Maybe get a hot dog, whatever your choice is for lunch. But we'll see you Saturday. I'll do some filming. Check Instagram. I'll probably do some pictures and that. And maybe a poster on the community tab or whatever. So that's it, guys, for this week. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. If you guys need anything from me, advice on anything, the humble guy is here telling you I made a mistake. So we'll see you next time.